There are a lot of questions about how you can afford a solar system, how much it costs, how long it takes to pay it back, and if it's worth it or not. And I'm going to answer those questions today. Let's go. Let's talk about how big it should be, and that's going to be dependent on several different factors. And that is your budget. Now, I talked a few weeks ago in a video about why we chose the components we chose and why we chose them to get them from Signature Solar. Now, here's the deal with solar. You can go huge and cover all of your energy needs if you can afford it. But if you cannot, you can start small. Look, in a recent video, I did a breakdown of every single solitary piece that you need for a system of this size, which I would classify as a medium-sized system. It cost us about $15,000, and many people commented that that was way too expensive. Well, here's the deal. You don't need to start off this big, but if you want to power what we are powering with it, then you do need to get something this big. If you need more power, you need to get something bigger, it's going to cost more. If you just need something that's small enough as a backup for an emergency situation, then you can do that. And you can spend about $2,500, $2,600 to do something like that. Signature Solar has a 3 kilowatt grid tie inverter. It's $469. You can get 4 of these solar panels for about $800. Buy some wood yourself to make a rack for them. Buy the wiring and a few extras, and you'll be good to go. So I want to be encouraging for you that you don't need to spend this much or more for a system like this right away. You can build up over time. Now, here is something very important when you're thinking about the size and cost of your solar system. And that are those factors that you cannot attribute a dollar figure to, really. And that number one factor is being self-sufficient and energy independent. How much is that worth to you? Because when you factor that in to what you're going to spend on a solar system, that figure might actually be very big. And that value was huge for us. So spending the money that we did on this was no big deal because we understand that energy independence from the grid is important and that is valuable. That holds value. We understand that the energy grid is old, it's degrading. We understand that energy costs are going up. We understand there's emergencies and those aging systems go down like it did in Texas this past year. So many people didn't have electricity that they couldn't run their electric heaters. Their pipes froze, burst in their house, ruined their house, all of the above. We want to be independent of that grid. But here's the deal, that's not going to happen overnight. So what we were able to afford by saving, and we adhere to Dave Ramsey's plan, if you've ever heard of him before, of not going into debt and paying off all your debt before you do anything else. We pay cash for this because we saved for several years. We didn't go run out and buy it right away and put it on a credit card. No, we saved for a specific thing, and this is the amount that we could save at this time. Now, people will say to you, well, that's not enough to power your house. Well, yes, it is. That's because we've diversified ourselves. That is a 1,000-gallon propane tank. It is full, and if I trickle that on a stove and a water heater, it will last me for over 3 years. Now, propane is expensive. I do understand that. But I want backup systems. I want to be diversified in my systems. In the future, I will add to this. And that's the beauty of this system, is you can add onto it and grow it, especially with those grow-out inverters. You can string up to 6 of them for 30 kilowatts of power. That's way more than I need. I have 2 now for 10 kilowatts of power. I will more than likely get 1 more next year. And then I'm going to add more panels on a ballasted racking system right down here in front of the other ones. So that will allow me to transition to get more power from this, not have to rely on that as much, but that will be for backup and emergencies. And the goal is to be completely off grid. Don't put all of your eggs in one basket and start where you can start. And for us, this was not about being green. Even though it's nice, we have no emissions here on the property with the solar system. For us, that's not what it was about, because we understand that there is pollution in lithium mining. There is pollution inherently within making solar cells. that may or may not balance out the emissions from burning propane or natural gas or something like that. So if you are adamantly against using fossil fuels, fine, but you need to find a study that balances the two in factual data that shows you how much pollution comes with producing stuff like this. Now, in our last video about the cost of our system, which you can check out at the top of the screen, we talked about that dollar figure for the system. People were upset and thought I was being dishonest because I didn't include labor costs. Well, friends, we are a DIY homesteading channel. I'm doing it myself, and the point of doing it myself is to show you that you can do it yourself. And then you don't have to spend the extra 10 grand that it would have cost us to have somebody put in our system. So okay, it's 25 grand if you want somebody else to do this for you, but that's not who we are here. And like I said, one of my biggest goals is to show you that you can do these things by yourself. So when it's all said and done, what is the payback time for a system of this size? For 8.8 kilowatts of panels, 10 kilowatts of inverters, and 15.3 kilowatt hours of batteries. Now, something else people forget to factor in is the federal tax credit of 26%. So for us, without the tax credit and not spending any money on labor, that would be 7 years, which is actually a really fast payback on a system like this that's going to last you about 25 years. If you factor in the tax credit, we would have spent $11,470 on this. And we average $200 a month in energy costs, and that is going up. So if you factor that in, we are now down to 4.75 years to pay this off, which we don't have to calculate because we paid cash for it. Now, I know many of you can't afford to do that. I want to encourage you to do two things. Think about starting with a small system that is expandable and get on Dave Ramsey's plan, pay off your debt. That will free you up to be able to do things like this faster. Having energy independence is just as important as being independent from any creditors. Owing nobody anything is extremely liberating. So we are going to add another 4 kilowatts, give or take, to this system, one more inverter and some wire. That won't be that much, maybe an extra $1,500, give or take, to expand the system that far because all the infrastructure will already be in. And that amount of power will be able to run our house and our barn and our well with no problem at all. So don't be discouraged. Do you actually want to do something like this for your own energy security? If you need help, leave me a comment in the comment section below. I've been studying for a few years. I'm no expert, but I'm happy to point you in the right direction if I can do that. If I can't answer your question, of course. We're here to help. Have a blessed, wonderful day, and check out these videos right here, which is our full solar playlist. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.